If you would like to support me through donating for my video making efforts, you can donate to me £1 on Cash App or £2 on Patreon. With that being said, please subscribe, like the videos. Let's get straight into it. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing non-profit, educational, or personal use, tips the balance in favor of fair use. The footage I use in this video is for education and critique purposes. Fair use. Shalom people, shalom. So I'm sure you guys have seen the title of this video and you might be asking to yourself, KMZ, what the heck does Kevin Hart have to do with the Holy Roman Empire? Well, first and foremost, to any of you black people that are new, if you're not privy to the information that black people ruled Europe, you're not going to really understand the context of this video, so you might be a bit confused. So I suggest you guys do your own research or go through my catalogue of videos. So Kevin Hart and the Holy Roman Empire. As you brothers should already know, what these top level executives and movie producers love to do, they love to put some form of truth in their TV series or Hollywood movies, such as predictive programming, certain occultic hand symbols and signs, and certain imagery that they use. Basically, sometimes they sell you fact as fiction through Hollywood movies, and they sell you fiction as fact through the mainstream media news outlets. One example I can think of off the top of my head is the movie The Manchurian Candidate starring Denzel Washington, which is a truthful movie, I should say, about MK Ultra. And MK Ultra, it's just basically mind control or mind manipulation, and they carry out these tactics by using things such as electroshock therapy, putting people in a hallucinogenic state with drugs such as LSD, and while their victims are in a sedated state, they literally cut open the top of their heads and install implants, believe it or not. You have things like satanic ritual abuse that's performed on children, where they abuse children, which then leads to that child developing trauma, which then leads to split personality disorder. And what they do, they take that split personality and install memory, thoughts, and patterns, and they seal it with symbols and signs and trigger words. So when they use these symbols, signs, and trigger words, it's going to bring out that split personality that they created in that child. And brothers, all these major events such as school shootings and bombings are all taken out by Manchurian candidates, which are set up by government intelligence agencies to perform out satanic rituals and to venerate satanic holidays. Believe it or not, brothers, believe it or not. So brothers, this person on your screen is a man named Michael Aquino, and he's an American political scientist. He's a high-ranking military officer, and he has secret security clearance. Basically, this person gets to do what he likes in the name of Homeland Security. But let's see what Michael Aquino likes to do in his spare time. Oh, that's right. He likes to run the Temple of Seth with his wife. Huh. But we're supposed to be the conspiracy theories, right, brothers? So the Temple of Seth. The Temple of Seth is an occult initiatory order founded in 1975, a new religious movement and form of Western esotericism. The temple espouses a religion known as Sethianism or Sethism, however you want to pronounce it, whose practitioners are called Sethians. This is sometimes identified as a form of Satanism, although this term is not often embraced by Sethians and is contested by some academics. The temple was established in the United States in 1975 by Michael Aquino, an American political scientist, military officer, and high-ranking member of Anton LaVey's Church of Satan. This is the guy that has secret security clearance in the military. Now, what do you brothers think that he's doing in the military? So this is a newspaper article on Michael Aquino, and on top it reads, Devil worshipper holds sensitive army post and top brass says no problem. A senior US military intelligence officer with a secret security clearance admits he's also the founder and high priest of a satanic church, and amazingly, the army says no problem. Michael Aquino, a 41-year-old former Green Beret, confirmed to the Inquirer that he's been involved in devil worship for 22 years. He said he formed his own satanic church, the Temple of Seth, in 1975 after belonging to another sect, the Church of Satan, for the previous 10 years. Michael Aquino quotes, "My religion has been no secret in the army." Aquino, who served as a psychological warfare specialist in Vietnam and is now a reserve officer working full-time on extended duty at the Army's Reserve Personnel Center in St. Louis. A political scientist and a psychological warfare specialist. That's a devil worshipper that has a high-ranking position in the military. Once again, brothers, what do you think that he's doing? You know what? Maybe I'm just looking too deep into this. Maybe this is just an isolated incident. So now take a look at this image. To the left is Michael Aquino, the founder of the Temple of Seth. To the far right is Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. And in the middle is your boy, Sammy Davis Jr. You can't make these things up, man. But when you try to explain these things to our people are so spiritually dead, they're not going to understand these things. For example, they do not understand why certain events or certain things transpire. Like, why do so much priests and pastors molest children? The reason why they do this is because behind the doors they worship the goat god Pan, and what the goat god Pan does, he leads little boys to the woods and he has intercourse with them. That is why it's not no isolated incident, or it's not because they're a sick individual. It's because they have to venerate the deities that they worship. And you see, by association, when our people see these things, they hate the Most High and the Bible by association. So a lot of our people turn atheist, but that's like me stabbing you with a knife, and instead of getting mad at me, you get mad at the knife. The Bible, the scriptures, has nothing to do with religion. So as you guys can probably tell, I kind of went off topic, but I said all of that to say this. These top level executives, directors and producers put truth in movies and sell it to you as fiction. So with that being said, let's get back to Kevin Hart. So I'm sure you brothers have seen this movie called The Black Knight with Martin Lawrence. Now the last time I've seen this movie is when I was a kid. And knowing what I know now, just off the top of my head, I can think of all the hidden gems as a kid. So such as obviously putting Martin Lawrence in the medieval time period. They had that one dude constantly refer to him as the Moor. Also in the end scene, when he got ported back in time, he got ported into the Roman arena where he got chased down by lions, which can symbolize Daniel in the lion's den. It could also symbolize the Israelites fighting as gladiators in the Roman arena. And that's just the things that I can remember off the top of my head for when I was a kid. I gotta watch this movie knowing what I know now. As a matter of fact, in the future, I might have plans of making a Patreon exclusive where I break down movies and TV show series that feature our people in the Middle Ages. Of course, you have the TV show Harlots that I've mentioned on this channel before, which has a lot of hidden gems in there. And of course, the TV series Anne Boleyn, where they casted Anne Boleyn as a so-called black woman. And this is the only 100% aesthetically accurate portrayal of Anne Boleyn they've produced on a mainstream media TV network. But when our people see these things, they think that they are just tokenizing us because our people do not know their history. This is how they make mockery of so-called black people. Hey, they sell you truth as fiction, but this all leads to Kevin Hart. Like I stated, these top level movie executives, producers, directors, what have you, they know what they are doing. So now we're going to take a look at an image of Kevin Hart. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the piece of heraldic armor they decided to put Kevin Hart in. And no, this is not a coincidence, and this is not by happenstance. They didn't ask Kevin Hart, Kevin Hart, pick which piece of heraldic armor you would like to wear, and he just happens to pick this. These top level executives and producers, directors knew what they were doing. And this is how they make mockery of the so-called black man, because they know that the so-called black man does not know his history. For you brothers that do know history, when you're browsing through the TV station networks and you see things like this, you instantly pick up on it. You say to yourself, these people ain't slick. I know exactly what they are doing. When I first saw this on YouTube, that's the very same thing that I said. I said to myself, out of all the pieces of heraldic armor they could have put Kevin Hart in, they decided to go with this. Now don't get it twisted. They could have put Kevin Hart in any piece of heraldic armor. Kevin Hart would have matched 100% from an aesthetic standpoint of what the people would have looked like during the Middle Ages. But why is this significant? For those who don't know, this is the Imperial Eagle seal, or the Imperial banner of the Holy Roman Empire, which was started or formed by a black man named Charlemagne the Great. So here are some different variations of the Imperial Eagle or the Imperial banner that was used by the Holy Roman Emperors. But when it comes to that double-headed eagle, brothers, that was mainly used by the Habsburgs family. But since I mentioned that Charlemagne the Great formed the Holy Roman Empire, let's get some brief history on that. So we're going to read an excerpt from the Real History WW about Charlemagne, and if needed, I will expand on this for more clarification. So the Holy Roman Emperor, 800 AD, it is now 799 AD, and for the third time in half a century, a pope is in need of help from the Frankish kings, after being physically attacked by his enemies in the streets of Rome. Their stated intention is to blind him and cut out his tongue to make him incapable of office. So just to add some further clarification, the Pope he is talking about is Pope Leo III, who was coronated as Pope shortly after the death of the former Pope Adrian I. Now this was a controversy because Leo III was not of noble blood, so the relatives of Adrian I, the former Pope, formulated a plot to assassinate or silence Leo III. So they hired mercenaries or goons to try and assassinate him, and they tried to gouge out his eyes and his tongue, which they weren't successful at because Leo got rescued by two of Charlemagne's envoys. Now, of course, Leo was under the protection of Charlemagne, which is why later on Leo granted Charlemagne the title Emperor of the Romans. So Pope Leo III makes his way through the Alps to visit the King of the Franks, Charles I, at Paderborn. For those who don't know, Paderborn is a city in Germany. It is not known what is agreed, but Charles I travels to Rome in 800 to support the Pope in a ceremony in St. Peter's. On Christmas Day, Leo is due to anoint Charles I's son as his heir, but unexpectedly, it is maintained. As Charles I rises from prayer, the Pope places a crown on his head and acclaims him emperor. Charles I, aka Charlemagne the Great, expresses displeasure but accepts the honor. The displeasure is probably diplomatic, for the legal emperor is undoubtedly the one in Constantinople. Nevertheless, this public alliance between the Pope and the ruler of the Confederation of the Black Tribes now reflects the reality of political power in the West, and it launches the concept of the new Holy Roman Empire, which will play an important role throughout the Middle Ages. The Holy Roman Empire only becomes formally established in the next century, but it is implied in the title adopted by Charlemagne in 800, Charles, Most Serene Augustus, crowned by God, Great and Pacific Emperor, governing the Roman Empire. So, brothers, for some visual stimulation, we are going to take a look at some of the real portraits of the Holy Roman Emperors. So, of course, we're going to kick it off with Charlemagne the Great. You know what? I can even make this a video about the Black Germans, since they all come from the Germanic tribes. During the latter parts, like the late 1700s, early 1800s, a lot of the Black Germans were influxing into the Americas. This is why your boy Benjamin Franklin had a problem specifically with the Black Germans, because there was too many of them coming over. This is a portrait of Holy Roman Emperor Charles IV of Luxembourg. Now, Charles I was the first king of Bohemia to become Holy Roman Emperor, and right next to him is his wife Anne of Schweldernitz. Portrait of Holy Roman Emperor Charles the Bald, the grandson of Charlemagne the Great. Here's the seal of Charles the Bald. So this is a Moor statue located in Schaffhausen, Switzerland, and this has been identified as Frederick III. Credit to Knowledge of Self on Facebook. But as you can see, the brother is decked out. He has the silver chain around his neck. He has the earring in his ear. He has the rings on his finger. He's holding a golden chalice. He has a sword equipped and is holding a shield. And as you can see, brothers, on that shield is that double-headed eagle, which was prominently used by the Habsburgs family. Frederick I was the fourth king and first emperor of the House of Habsburg. So, brothers, just for some more visual stimulation on the imperial banner or the imperial eagle of the Holy Roman Empire, what you are looking at is Oppenheim. Now, for those who don't know, Oppenheim is a town in Germany and it's famous for its wines. And as you can see on all these banners is the imperial eagle, and accompanied by them are the Moors' heads. Portrait of Holy Roman Emperor Frederick I Barbarossa. All of you should already know this one by now. Holy Roman Emperor Charles V. So since I mentioned Charles V, we might as well get some of his children. This is the daughter of Charles V, Joanne, Princess of Portugal and Archduchess of Austria. Another daughter of Charles V, Maria of Austria, Holy Roman Empress. The son of Charles V, Philip II of Spain, King of Portugal. So this is a coin featuring Holy Roman Emperor and the brother of Charles V, Ferdinand I, and it became Holy Roman Empire from 1558, and he ruled the Austrian lands of the Habsburgs. And next to him is his son, Maximilian II. This is Holy Roman Emperor Matthias as Archduke of Austria. He was Holy Roman Emperor from 1612. Now his mother is the daughter of Charles V, Maria of Austria, and his father is Maximilian II, who we saw on the coin with Ferdinand. Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand III, and he was Holy Roman Emperor from the 15th of February 1637. So this is the son of Ferdinand III, Holy Roman Emperor Leopold I. So brothers, during the early middle portion of this video, I made a statement stating that I can just basically turn this video into a video about the black Germans. And I said that a lot of the black Germans were going over to the Americas and that Benjamin Franklin had a problem with that. So I'm going to show you guys why I stated that. So the German Palatines. In 1709, England found itself playing a host to thousands of Germans who were fleeing famine, war, and religious persecution in their native lands. Many of the first arrivals came from Palatine. Now, for those who don't know, Palatine is a region in Germany. And the refugees became collectively known as the Poor Palatines. They have been displaced by French invasions and famine during the 9 Years and Spanish Succession Wars. Arriving in London, many were resettled in Ireland and British America. Towards the end of the 17th century and into the 18th, the wealthy region was repeatedly invaded by French troops during the religious wars. They imposed continuous military requisitions, causing widespread devastation and famine. The winter of 1708 was notably cold, resulting in further hardships. The term Poor Palatines referred to some 13,000 Germans who emigrated to England between May and November 1709, seeking refuge. Their arrival in England and the inability of the British government to integrate them led to a highly politicized debate over the merits of immigration. The English tried to settle them in England, Ireland, and British America to strengthen their position abroad. The Palatine settlements did not prove to be viable in the long term, except for those settled in countries Limerick and Wexford in Ireland and in the colony of New York in America. The English transported nearly 3,000 German Palatines in 10 ships to New York in 1710. Many of them were first assigned to work camps along the Hudson River to work off the cost of their passage. close to 850 families settled in the Hudson River Valley, primarily in what are now Germantown and Socrates, New York. They produced stores for the Navy in work camps on each side of the Hudson. In 1723, 100 heads of families from the work camps were the first Europeans to acquire land west of Little Falls. In present-day Herkimer County, on both the north and south sides along the Mohawk River. This settlement was halfway through the valley on the frontier far beyond the Schenectady and Albany. Later, additional Palatine Germans settled along the Mohawk River for several miles, founding towns such as Palatine and Palatine Bridge, and in the Schoharie Valley. So basically, what all that is saying is, a lot of the Palatine Germans were coming over from Europe and settling in America in New York. So the question is, were those Palatine Germans so-called black? Now, of course, we all know the answer to this, but let's hear what your boy Ben Frank has to say. So, and since detachments of English from Britain sent to America will have their places home so soon supplied and increased so largely here, why should the Palatine Boers be suffered to swarm into our settlements? So what is a swarm? A swarm is a large group of people or animals, what have you, that takes over an area, and by herding together establish their language and manners to the exclusion of ours. Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them? Now, first and foremost, the original Anglo-Saxons were so-called black. They just take on the identity and take on the history like they always do. But you read this here and it sounds like Benjamin Franklin is hating on the Germans because he doesn't want to learn the language and customs. But let's read on. So, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion. Now, shouldn't Benjamin Franklin and the Germans have the same complexion? Why is he complaining about they can't acquire his complexion? So let's read on. Which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionately very small. All Africa is black or tawny, Asia chiefly tawny, America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we would call a swarthy complexion. Swarthy meaning dark-skinned, dark-fleshed. For any of you so-called black people that are new, just go look this word up. As are the Germans also. The Saxons only excepted, who, with the English, make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. And once again, the original Saxons were so-called black. I wish their numbers were increased. He's basically saying, I wish there were more people around that looks like me. There's too much black, swarthy, and tawny people around me, aka different shades of brown. So, and while we are, as I may call it, scouring our planet by clearing America of woods, and so making the sight of our globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars and Venus, why should we, in the sight of superior beings, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America? where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all blacks and tawnies of increasing the lovely white and red. But perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country, for such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. And that statement at the end, I agree with Benjamin Frank. So-called black people, it's okay to love and put each other first. We don't need to seek acceptance from the other races. So sticking with the black Germans, brothers, this is a brother named John Henry Hoffman IV. And as you can see by his surname Hoffman, it's German in origin. Now, why does this so-called black man have a German surname? Now, brothers, in this picture, right next to him is his ex-wife, and she is also inquisitive to why her husband has a German name. So let's take a look at some footage. Oh, I forgot to also add, John Henry Hoffman is a producer and an actor, and his wife is a model and also an actor. So brothers, this dude is doing an interview, and basically the topic of German surnames comes up. So let's see what transpires.
Yeah, firstly, Sue-Ann, is it Braun? Your surname?
Let's not go there. It could be a...
Oh, really? I've got options?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Basically, the short story long is my father is of German descent. So, of course, yeah, in Germany, das ist braun, ja.
Well, he's a Rheinberger, so...
Yeah, so you understand. But, so my father is always my father. It's like he's brown, he's brown. My mother's name is Dawn. So my mother's particularly keen on brown, otherwise it's Dawn Braun. And I was going to be a boy called Sean.
Sean Dawn.
Sean and Dawn Braun.
Best answer to a simple question. Yes, absolute gold.
However, so there's more. And wait, there's more. So years ago, when I was growing up in South Africa, and everyone would say Braun, and years of brainwashing my father going, it's...
So we're just going to pause it here and skip forward because we want to get to what Elena Hoffman has to say.
I say it's Brown, thank you. And then, of course, we'd get to my first name and people would go, so when we got to Braun, I just went, that's fine. I'll answer to that. So there's the answer to the question.
Best answer to a question that wasn't part of the interview ever. So my opening question was going to be something about Stargate. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, so Huffman, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
And it better be a good story, because...
Well, it is actually, because we're very confused as where my husband's black. He's not German, so we don't know where it came from.
Hey, brothers, you hear that? You see that awkward pause? She doesn't understand why her so-called black husband has a German name. Now, if you was to ask her, she would probably think that the reason her black husband has a German name, he probably inherited that German name from a white German slave master. And unfortunately, if you was to also ask John Hoffman, he would probably think that also. These are the type of things that you pick on when you're just browsing YouTube. I just found this very interesting. But let's run that back.
Huffman's... All right, okay, is Huffman a German?
It's a German.
Best answer to a question that wasn't part of the interview ever. So my opening question was going to be something about Stargate. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, so Huffman, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
And it better be a good story, because...
Well, it is actually, because we're very confused as where my husband's black. He's not German, so we don't know where it came from.
But Huffman's... All right, okay, is Huffman a German?
It's a German name.
I'm the only person without a German name in this entire conversation.
German.
Hogan.
Hogan! You are now Hogan.
Well, no, he was like in the POW camp, so
But
it's
I have
like...
to say, I like Huffman because people can say it, because my maiden name is Collage. So Elena Collage, I was always the pause on the attendance roll. So I'm like, I'm here, don't even bother. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Let's pretend to actually start an interview. I don't know why, it's crazy.
Hopefully this was an edifying lesson for you brothers and sisters. If you wish to support me through donations for my video making efforts, you can donate to me £1 on Cash App or £2 on Patreon. Subscribe, like the video, giving all praises to the Most High Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai.